Okay, so we're currently with 3 guests, and we'll start anyway. There's probably some more are going to join in. With the number that we have, feel free to interrupt, feel free to ask me anything. If I cannot answer or if I do not know the answer, I will let you know. We're also joined by Leo Maassen. He is coordinating the international exchange students. And Sarah is a student with us. So if you have questions regarding the environment Fontys from a student perspective, she will be helping out answering these questions. And I myself am a teacher with Fontys, and I'm associated with the ICT and business profile. I'm coordinating the second semester and also teaching in the first semester. So if you're going to choose for Fontys, you are going to see me either in February or in September next year. Let's see if I can actually. So we are going to talk about Fontys University of Applied Sciences, and I'll be talking about ICT and business as a small recap of what's in the generic presentation as well, to give you a bit of a start. In the first year, we have 5 profiles, and in the main presentation, they have been ranked from more a human approach to a technological approach, going from ICT and media to ICT and technology. And on the second spot, we will see ICT and business, which has a very strong human aspect, but with the data we are looking at and the data analysis that we are doing, we are moving a little bit more towards the technology and having a more abstract impact on human life. If we then move to the second year, we're going to add even more with specializations, and then ICT and business moves even more towards the middle, focusing more on data, but not forgetting about the business aspect and how it's going to be used within ICT and how it's going to be used for humans and within an organization. So the structure of the first year is a propedeutic year, starting between the 5 profiles that we have, and in the second half of the year, you're going to make your choice. And if you're going to choose ICT and business, then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. And then the structure afterwards, so the last 6 semesters you're going to do, you'll have at least 2 full semesters regarding ICT and business. So there's a total of 3 courses and the first semester. All right, diving into ICT and business itself. I set up the presentation from the perspective of the questions that I get most frequently from students. And I've categorized them into 4 subjects. What do I become? Will I make money? Which is, I think, one of the most important questions to ask if you're going to study something. What are we going to do in your curriculum? And should I be good at? And I will dive into this with you as well. So the first question is, what do I become? To give a bit of a profile idea, we have categorized 4 generic roles that you will see in the IT field: the data engineer, the data analyst, the business engineer, and the IT consultant. And let's start by how do they relate with each other. The data engineer is the engineer that builds databases, designs databases, and is able to store all the data that we need, especially when we are moving towards the we are moving towards the age of data with companies like Google, like Facebook. They need to have a solid and decent solution to store that data. You don't want your Facebook message or your Instagram photo to be lost. So that's the role of the data engineer. We'll dive into that a little bit more. Then we have the data analyst. As the name it says, he analyzes data and is able to report this in clear dashboards or in clear overviews, so that we as common humans know what is going on in the world. The business engineer is the link between the IT environment and company management. He has a good knowledge of the IT relations that are going on within the company, but is also speaking on the same level as management is within a company. So those are the three roles that are within the company that we are seeing within business and ICT. And there is a fourth role, the IT consultant. That is when you are going to be asked from an outside company and going to give advice, which is also a role that we want to train our students in. A bit of an idea what's in there and what do you need. We are working with SQL, with data modeling, with Excel, with R, with data warehousing, just to name a few of the topics that we are covering within the semesters of ICT and business. And these are introduced to train you to become a data engineer. Next to the hard skills, you will need to have attention to details. You need to be analytical, structured, have an investigative mind, and be able to do complex thinking. And as I said, you are able to build a database, to build a manner of storing data and storing the pictures, the different messages that we have, and be able to prepare this for others to use it. So that's the main role that you are doing. If I then move to the data analyst, we'll see that they are also using SQL, data modeling, Excel and R, but then also move more towards the statistics. So how do I represent the data? How can I find the right algorithm, or how do I find relations within the data that I see? For the soft skills, you really need to be structured and investigative. You really need to have that mindset of, I want to solve this puzzle, especially in data analysis and SQL. When I talk with other software engineers, we perceive SQL really as that puzzle. There is something out there, and can we find it using the code, and can we pull it out? We know it's there, but we need to prove it. Would almost be a inspector from the police, or a detective. So your main role is collecting data, processing data, and then presenting it. And presenting this can also be towards a CEO of a billion-dollar company, or it is going to be again presenting this data towards the baker around the corner. It really depends on the different type of client that you have. And I have seen with graduates and internships, students that have done for both these parties, so both the CEO of the billion-dollar company as well as for the baker around the corner, that they have to do these kind of activities. So these two were the really technical ICT focused roles, and all these roles are something that we are teaching towards our ICT and business students, something that we want them to learn. As I said, part of this part was the ICT part. Then if I move to the business engineer, we go more towards the business principles, working with finance, working with R, but also working with terms like Lean Six Sigma, and being able to communicate on the same level and using the same terminology as your manager or as top management is doing within a company. If you're able to understand this, you are able to make that translation for what management really needs and what they are asking for, and to make this translation towards the software engineer that can then build the software for you. And in Dutch, we have a very fond saying of you're the spider in the web, or you have a helicopter view. And I know it does not translate that well into English. But the idea is you have a good view of all the different departments, all the different players, all the different stakeholders within the organization, and you are able to connect them. That also shows within the soft skills that you need. You need to have a business orientation, you're communicative, you have good leadership roles, and you have a broad mindset. And as I said, in what you do, the visualization of the role. You have a business support, supporting top management, you're able to report to them, what we also saw with the data analyst, but now more towards the business-oriented subjects. And you're also able to consult with management on what is going to be a good IT solution for your company. And you're also able to make that research. And finally, we said that we also train students in the role of IT consultant. In contrast to the business engineer, the IT consultant comes from an external party giving an advice towards the client or towards a company. And then we need to talk about basic programming. You need to have a basic understanding of how code works, but also how does it relate. So on different levels, how should we implement a certain IT solution? We talk about Power BI. We talk about data modeling again, but also the business principles and different processes, BPMN. And something that is not mentioned here, but is crucial for all the roles within ICT and business, and I think within ICT in general, is Scrum or Agile working, and that's something that we want to pick up with students as of the first semester that they choose for ICT and business. Giving also the role of Scrum Master or Product Owner and understanding what they have to do with these roles. If I look at soft skills, you have management skills, good communication again, and something that I do think personally is very important for a bachelor student, but an ICT and business students specifically, they need to be creative. They need to be able to connect different perspectives together. And that forms, in our perspective, an IT consultant being able to go into a company with a strong baggage of understanding how the company works, how IT works, how management works, what questions are, and then advising or giving IT recommendations towards the client. Those are roughly the 4 roles that we are training for. And as I said, we have an IT component with the data engineer, with the data analyst, and we have a more business-oriented role as an IT consultant and business engineer. Students will be trained in all 4 of these roles. And throughout the semester, we make combinations of the different skills that you're going to need. We're going to make projects where you can experience the different roles. And in that way, you're going to experience and determine for yourself which roles fit you best. To help you, or at least to give you a little gift, I'll share you the different roles as a PDF in the chat. So that you have that one as a review for a later moment. So I hope with what can I become, that this explains it a little bit. And it really sounds like very vague and jobs that are not easy to grasp. So that's also what I'm trying to answer with the next question. Will I make money? And with Sarah, when we're preparing the presentation, we had a quick search for the 4 different roles. Are there vacancies for this? Is this being recognized? And what we did see is there's a lot of jobs. They make good money. And because we are training you for different roles and different positions within the company, within an organization, you also have the option to build your own job. You have chances to grow within your job, and we try to make you as dynamic as possible by giving you a lot of different options. So what we did is we did a quick search, and by just typing in ICT and business in the area of Eindhoven, what we did and what we saw is that we had 870 pages of hits of vacancies. So then, of course, the question is, what can I become? So I picked one out. One of the vacancies that was directly applying towards a bachelor that finished with our ICT and business was a traineeship with Young Capital, also one of the larger companies within the Netherlands. And you can directly get started for, let's say, 2,400 euros a month. So do I make good money? There is a good possibility to find a job, but also to find a job that's going to, as they say themselves, kickstart your career. So what are we going to do? I mentioned a lot of different subjects that might sound vague. R, SQL, if you're in high school, or you're going for your last exams, this might be some things that you have not worked with or have never heard of. That's not a problem. We are going to start from scratch, and we're going to build up through the 4 years of the bachelor and get you to a level that prepares you for the working environment. So let's have a quick look what we can do. I try to make it visually appealing. R is a programming language that allows us to make a data analysis on a data set. Well, what you see here on the map is an app built in R that shows the different bird locations of all the players in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. What they've done, they had a database with all the bird locations. Using R, using a script, they have been able to make an interactive map. If you want to find this one is online as well. And it allows you to click on different locations, getting the information of the different football players, to give an idea of what you can do. All the dashboards that you have seen can be made in R. If you have been following the elections in the United States, those kind of maps can also be made in R. And that would be examples of ICT and business students or ICT and business graduates that they can make. I'll move a little bit quickly through the different languages. When you're going to study with it, we dive a lot deeper into this. How does it work? What can you do with it? SQL is a language to contact a database. It's used by almost all programming languages. It is able to communicate with all different applications, making you again that connective factor between data, between the knowledge that we have as a company and the application. Yeah, then we really go into the most abstract form that we can do, and also for students, sometimes one of the more difficult subjects, and that's data modeling. How are we going to store the data? How are we going to work with this? How can we build a database so that our colleagues within software engineering can build that application so that, again, as I said earlier, your Facebook message or that Instagram image or your TikTok movie is actually going to the right places, and that not someone is hacking into your account or when, for example, I mentioned already the United States and their election, that someone is not able to access this and vote for a third party that they don't want to vote for. That is being covered within data modeling. How do we make a secure database, but also how do we ensure that our database is not going to get corrupted? And then we move towards the business aspect, talking about processes, and processes goes from supply chain. How do we ensure the new vaccine that has been developed? How do we ensure that it's going to be distributed equally over the world? How do we ensure that we know and that we can track these truckloads of vaccines? And that's something that we're going to talk about during the courses. But also within the company itself, how do we ensure that if we have a production company, that we have enough stock, that we have enough raw materials so that our employees are able to work? How do we report this information effectively and usefully to our management? How do we ensure that our sales department knows how much stock we have, and our inventory department or our warehouse knows how much they need to buy? Well, that is the role of the ICT and business engineer as well. And then, of course, the business principles, when we talk about different strategies, different management, and how does management work? So there's been a lot of different terms and different roles, different languages, different things that you have to learn. And I can imagine that it's been overwhelming, that it has been a lot to process. And I have no objection going back to certain roles, going back to certain questions. But if you now think like, I'm never going to be able to do this, don't worry. We are going to start from scratch. We are going to go through the different topics with you, and we are going to help you to learn this, because that is what university is about. What should you be good at? You need to have an analytical mindset. You need to be able to think in a more abstract way. Obviously, you need to have some kind of a business mindset. If you have no affinity with a company, then it's really hard to give them advice. It does not mean that you have to have economics and be walking in suits all day long and read the Financial Times, because that's not the role that we are looking for. We are still looking for the ICT engineer. But having that feeling, think, oh, not being afraid when we're going to talk about stocks or when we're going to talk about money, then you should be good. You need to have a creative mindset. You're going to be thrown at, or we're going to throw you at complex situations, situations that are not answered before. In contrast to basic programming, then you're asked, please build us this button. Well, in ICT and business, there is no question, please build us this button, or please build us a dashboard that will show us exactly how. That doesn't exist. Those questions are not there yet. You have to be creative, and you need to be able to formulate these questions. And we're going to help you, of course, getting better at that. So, and the last ones are, you need to be communicative. Well, if you are going to talk with all these different parties, with all these different stakeholders, it's a good thing that you know how to communicate with them. You need to be structured, especially when you're going to work with databases. And most importantly, if you are willing to learn, we are there to help you learn and understand all the different topics. And I think the last question is more important than anything. Why Fontys, or more specifically, why ICT? My personal opinion, and there's a lot of colleagues with me that want to disagree, but also agree with me. Find the role that suits you best, and find an education that suits you best. So why Fontys? Within Fontys, we have 5 different profiles, and as you might have seen in the invitations, so business, infrastructure, media, software and technology, and it allows you, as I said in one of the first slides, we allow you to make that choice. Find the best suited profile that goes with you. And you now had a quite complete explanation regarding business. We're also internationally focused. If I look at our first semester, we have 450 students that have signed up for the course-based, the more internationally focused first semester. And well, with 450 students, you have a very broad distribution of different nationalities that are cooperating together. And if I look again at ICT and business, we're also using this international diversity to learn from each other. There's nothing more interesting than comparing the experiences from students that are coming from Vietnam, from Uganda, or from Germany, and see how they are experiencing certain business principles that we're talking about. And then we find out that in different continents or in different countries, there are different ways of interacting, different ways of conducting business, and different priorities. And then it's a good thing to do this in an internationally focused university. And of course, we have a large campus with a broad network and personal attention for students. If I look at Sarah at this, she's part of our student association, who also help out a lot with international students, supporting them with additional information. If I look at the way that we teach, we prefer to say we coach our students in obtaining the different objectives that we have. Rather than having the large college rooms where we are feeding 450 students in one go with a certain topic, we try to do this in smaller groups, 24 students together with one teacher, with a lot more personal attention on learning our topics. It gives me as a teacher more opportunity to explain to you as a student what you're going to do, what is important, and where the tricks are, because especially within programming, you need to understand where that small detail goes, where the difference is within a capital F or a lowercase f in your code. It could crash your whole code. And then being able to have that personal attention helps. As well as in business, having that discussion with these different nationalities can only be done in smaller groups. I cannot have a discussion with 400 people at the same go. That would become a mess. But if I have a smaller group, we can get into more interesting fields, directing more towards the questions of the student at that moment regarding his project, but also regarding his own interest. And then, of course, we just entered a new building, and I cannot do anything else than just show the images of the new building. And this is what it looks like from the outside. And well, like I said, we started this semester going into it. We're making it our own, and as a learning environment, as a teacher, I can say it's inspiring, but also the interaction I have with students. So that's been quite a lot. And I'll share you one more. Are there any questions, things that you would like to discuss about? Just feel free to ask. Katja.
Yes. You say that you don't have to make a choice at the beginning. Does this mean in the first semester that you can like taste a little bit from ICT business, ICT technology, ICT media, and then make your choice in the second semester?
You make the choice for which profile you're going to do during the first semester.
During the first, okay.
Yeah.
And then if you apply for a program, you just apply for the general program, ICT, or do you already apply for a certain profile, but then you get a chance to change, or how does it work?
Yes. Now I have to look at Leo for all the details.
Yeah, so indeed, when you apply, you apply for the ICT program.
Okay.
So this is the first time we are doing this. So in recent years, indeed, you could right from the beginning choose for software or business or media or infrastructure or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we change now. So all students apply for as what we call HBO ICT. That's what you can also find if you go to, I will put it in the chat, if you go to StudyLink. Maybe are you familiar with StudyLink?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to apply for our program, you have to search for it in StudyLink, of course. You have to go to Fontys, you have to go to Eindhoven, ICT, and then click the correct card. But it's indeed ICT. And then, as what Matthijs correctly explained, in the first 10 weeks, you do an orientation on these 5 profiles. So for each profile, specific subject, and then you can find out what suits you best. And then after week 10, actually, that's what the student doing right now. They have to choose their profile for the second part of the first semester, and hopefully that will be the correct choice for the second semester. And then they still have the option to change. So maybe they have to catch up a few things, but so that the choice they make after 10 weeks is definitely not final.
Yeah, indeed. So what our intention is to give the student, to give you as a student the best experience and to try out the different profiles that we have.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine from just the video or just the explanation that I gave that you not have a good idea of what are you going to do with R? Am I going to become a pirate? So that's why we give the first 10 weeks as an experience, try it out, orientate yourself, and then you make a choice. We try it again, and as Leo says, if it doesn't fit yet, we can still make some catch-ups or try to find a good solution. And then you go into the second semester, and then you have more definitive chosen for a certain profile. To add to the confusion or to add to the complexity, as I would say, I have to go the other way. In the second year, we also introduce different specializations. So even if you choose ICT and business, we have students that go for ICT and business and focus on that IT consultant, but they take a specialization in game design.
Yeah.
And then use the Unity engine to build complete games. With their objective of when I grow up, when I graduate, I want to be able to build my own company, which they also focus in their minors, the 7th semester, in which I'm going to consult people using different games. So even the 4 profiles that I gave, it's a lot broader, and that's something that we within Fontys see as our strong point, to allow students to get a very broad possibility of learning different things.
Yeah.
Michelle, I saw you were raising your hand. Did you want to ask a question?
Yes, it has already been answered. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question? Just socially, you said you have 450 students. Do you mean in ICT or especially in ICT and business?
I mean in the first semester.
Okay. In the general first semester, all the profiles. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So for the first semester, they are doing all 5 profiles, and so that combined is currently 450 students.
Okay. And do you have an idea of the percentage of international students?
Of this 450, there are, I think, about 30% Dutch, and the remaining 70% is international. This is one of the didactical models that we have, course-based. There's also demand-based, and this is also 450 students, but then only Dutch students. Demand-based is also given in Dutch, and course-based is, so what we are talking about right now, is given in English. And after the 3rd semester, all programs that we have are given in English.
I'm so sorry, I just lost you for the last part. Are you saying that some of the subjects are taught in Dutch?
No.
No, okay, good.
We have 2 semesters for students that come from the Netherlands that are given in Dutch, but at the same time, all these courses are always given in English as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So when an international student arrives with us, all the courses are given in English.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sarah, can you give a bit of an experience how you experienced your first year with us?
Okay, you can see me. Hello. So yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm in my 3rd semester in ICT. So first thing I want to say is I was actually a bit scared when I signed up for ICT. I actually signed up for ICT and business. I was a bit scared because I have no knowledge whatsoever in ICT. I used to do sociology and law, which is completely different. But yeah, I mean, I'm in 3rd semester. Everything went fine. The teacher really tried to help you. Also, the fact that the classes are, I think, around 30 students in a class, which is pretty good. They also try to really make sure that every student understands the classes. So we have multiple classes depending on the profile. We have a personal coach, which always is there if you need help for some questions, specific questions. But you also have a coach that take care of your team within your project. And one thing that I really liked about Fontys is feedback. So every time you will give an update of your project, for example, they will always give you a feedback and always tell you, what is good, what could be improved, and those kind of thing, which I think is very good because you really need those kind of feedback to go forward with your project, and not just project, but in general, to know what could be missing in it. Also, other things that are pretty useful that I've never seen in other school in Netherlands or never heard of it is we have something called the ISSD, which is a place in the school which will provide you with tools that you might need for your for your classes. So it could be a camera if you need to do some photography or things like that. You can borrow even a laptop if you forgot your laptop. Like a lot of technology, a lot of tools that you can use, that you can borrow, which I think is very good because personally, as a student, I mean, we don't have a lot of money to afford like a professional camera or things like that. So it's good that they really trust us and offer this option for us. Also, yes, I'm also part of the student association, the International Student Association. And we really try to make different type of activity. It could be social, just to be able to, socialize, make contact, different culture and things like that. But also we make some workshops, which could be, for example, if you need help with a certain subject, there will be a workshop for helping for that specific subject, or it will be maybe some mini seminar that people would come and explain what they're doing in their one of the job, for example, data analyst or those kind of thing. Another thing that I really like is during the project. So yeah, we are very international. I'm French / Canadian. So one thing that I really like, it's not really taught, but you kind of learn it. With being so many, we are so many international students, and we are in a project together, and you kind of learn how to deal with different mindset, different culture, and how to go forward together, which I think is a plus if you work in any company, because nowadays most of the companies are pretty international, and it's a good way to show that you're able to, to be very a good team player and able to be intercultural in your work. Also, another reason that I chose Fontys and not another school like TU is because you actually put in practice what you're learning. And I think that's very good, because when I'm going to do my internship, I will already have some knowledge of how to use certain software, and I can already prove to my future boss that, hey, look, I'm already able to do this. And that's really a plus compared to, I have some research. I have some friends who are studying in a research university, and they told me that one thing, it's a bit mean to say that, but they told me that one thing is that it took time for them to learn things when they went to an internship, because they didn't practice as much as applied science university. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything more that I should talk about. The fact that you're learning those 5 profiles in the first semester is also a good thing, because later on, when you're going to work in a company, you need to have a certain basic knowledge of all the others profiles, because you will be communicating with them, and you want to be able to communicate correctly with them, and knowing those certain knowledge will help you to not have any misunderstanding between your co-workers that work in, for example, software or technology. So that's a good thing, I think. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has a question, but
if I quickly add to what you were saying about the ISSD,
yes.
Yeah, of course we can. Well, we're working on IT. We try to get the big, the new technologies in. So getting working with breadboards, working with different chips, working with different cameras. It's a lot of different technologies that we need to be able to work with. I've seen students programming the new 3D Oculus Rift. Sorry.
Yeah.
Making scripts for this, interacting with that. I've seen students working with complete robots.
Yes.
Even playing in the robot league, where they have to build or program the robot to to play football. So, as you say, we try to use a lot of different projects to directly apply what you have learned into practice, and that is one of the that's what we try to get with students, to find what's needed to build a certain project.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also challenge teachers, because we don't know everything. There's no human being in the world that knows everything. So we are also challenged by students, which is a good thing, because it allows us to learn new things, get new perspectives.
Yeah, that's another thing that I really like. I think it's in general in Netherlands, because if I compare to France, the way the teacher were, they were this kind of hierarchy, and you couldn't really give your different opinion. But in Netherlands, it's really, yes, I'm the teacher, but like you said, we are all human beings. So if you have a different opinion, of course, share it, and we can look into it. And yeah, that's something that I really like about being in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and of course, 1 + 1 is always 2. We're not going to debate about that, but we can debate about how to apply something, and maybe you have a better solution to get to an answer, and then we can experiment with this and work towards different outcomes, or the same outcome with different ways of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that way of going through projects, of that way of learning, it's not everywhere within the Netherlands, or at least from my experience, but it's definitely something that we try to do within Fontys, specifically within ICT, to learn new things, because IT is changing every 2 years. There's always a new, bigger thing happening. Currently, Teams is the biggest application going around because of the pandemic. In 2 years' time, it's going to be a new application.
Yeah.
We can't keep up as teachers. We don't want students to learn applications, or to learn languages, or to learn certain skills that are already obsolete when they graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, we work within project. We try to together find the best solution, but still the basics, the 1 + 1, or how to build a certain database, or how to do finances, because finance has been there for 1600. Until now, it hasn't been changed. Those basic principles we still will teach, and you will still have to learn as a student.
Yes.
But if we find out that we're not going to program in R, and you are better off in JavaScript, to name something completely different, then we can have a look at that together and see if we can find another solution there, especially in the higher semesters.
Yes, it's true. Actually, I just saw what Leo sent a few before about the loans and scholarship. I think I would like to quickly talk about it. So, yeah, actually, as a EU student, you can also get a loan for your study. And I'm just gonna quickly go over it. But yeah, I could have been studying in France, which is actually very cheap study. But like I said, I didn't like their methods, and also actually it is way more expensive and harder to live there than in Netherlands. So yeah, I moved to Netherlands and I applied for a loan, and I have a side job on the side. And yeah, I mean, pretty much everything is good with that. I'm just gonna see. Sounds all very.
Yeah, for the Experience Study Day, I think Leo is currently answering that.
Yeah.
Because Leo is the expert on this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that there's open days, but I think Leo is also answering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So due to the difficulty.
But one thing you could maybe look into, I'm just gonna write here. ICT. This is the page of Fontys ICT on Instagram, and weekly there's students from different fields that will take over the Instagram page for a week and show what they usually do at Fontys in their study and things like that. Maybe that could give a bit of an image of what you do, of what we do.
Yeah. And of course, you can always send an email, or we can meet on Teams. Leo has all those contacts. He will also be the person, if you send an email to the generic email address for Fontys International, specifically ICT, it will go to Leo, and he will direct you to the right person. And the colleagues that I have, we're currently with 80 different teachers within, specifically for the international students. And all 80 of them are more than willing to give answers or to dive more, to discuss more in depth what their topic is about. So always feel free to send an email when you have questions or when you want to know a little bit more about a certain topic or about a certain profile. Or very specifically about if you want to know something about a language that we're teaching. So you can always send and use that that way of broadening your knowledge. Yeah, that's basically the whole story that I have prepared.
I don't know if you were gonna say something.
Yes, first of all, thanks a lot to Sarah and Matthijs. I think your webinar was very nice and very informative. I hope that the people who took part, students, parents, that it gives you a lot of good information. And indeed, what Matthijs already mentioned, you can always contact us when you have questions. Yeah, hopefully somewhere end of January, February, situation will become a little bit better. So normally we have 3 open day weekends in the academic year. One in November, one in January, and one in March. So let's hope that the one in March is somehow physical again, and then we can invite also again international potential students to come over one weekend to Eindhoven and to experience real life what's going on here.
Yeah. Do you have more details on the entry requirements, Leo?
I also put a link about general admission requirement, but
okay. Yeah. So I would advise you go directly to our website. I will type it in, and then search for the entry requirements. So there you can read what we expect from a potential student. Of course, it depends from what country you're coming, but normally when you apply in studylink.nl, within 2 weeks we can tell you whether you can be admitted, yes or no. So don't forget, admission is already open for September 2021 intake. So www.studylink.nl, there you can already make your application. So you don't need to have your diploma right now. That's for most students, of course. But you can already make your application so that you know whether you will be accepted. But admission requirements overall are quite simple. You need to have a secondary school diploma. And normally I say when this diploma gives admission to a university in your home country, then it probably will also give admission to a university in the Netherlands like Fontys. In many cases, you also need to have an IELTS or TOEFL certificate, so to prove your correct level of English. So normally we require an IELTS 6 or a TOEFL 80 certificate. And that's, in fact, the main requirement related to application.
Just one more thing about the TOEFL and for the English level, make sure that it's up to date, so that it's there's a limit time normally on this.
Yeah.
And
2
you
years.
you have to make sure that it's within this time. Otherwise, you have to take another one again.
That's correct. But there are also certain secondary school certificates. Think of Lithuanian, so the Baltics in general, Romania, so where they get an IB diploma, and then you will be exempted for English. But for
I
most,
actually got exempted for it because of Canada. Even though I was in a French school, the English classes that I had in my final diploma of high school let me into any English speaking university.
Okay. Yeah. So indeed, exemptions are possible. I always say it's quite easy to get into a Dutch university. But of course, when you're in, you have to work pretty hard to achieve your results, your credits. But okay, that's the way we work and live.
But then again, you also get quite a lot of support, making sure that you're able to get through. So it goes both ways.
True.
Exactly.
Actually, I would like to point out one thing that I like. You do have exams in the first semester, but what I really enjoy is that afterward, at least for my case, I don't have any more exams. It's mostly projects that are graded, which relieve me a lot of stress. So I have less stress now because I feel better with projects being graded.
Yeah. The exams that you mentioned, the only reason that we do it, so the really old school of the fashioned exams where everyone has their own desk in the large rooms, and the only reason that we have to do this is because of the large quantity of students that we have in the first semester. In later semester, when they choose their own profile, we get more. We get even more into touch with students. We can focus more on different projects. Because if I can spend 18 weeks with a student just on ICT and business, I get a very good idea of how they are performing. And that results in less exams or even no exams needed, because we can see the skills of the students. Mm-hmm. So that's in the benefit of us both. Because to be honest, from a teaching perspective, we don't like giving exams either.
Okay, I think time is almost up. So again, Matthijs and Sarah, thanks a lot for your great support and work. Also, thank you to the visitors again. Whenever you have more questions, let us know. This webinar will be recorded, and from next week on, we will put them on our websites and other channels. We still have to figure out what works best. So you always will have the opportunity to watch the webinar again, or the other webinars maybe you missed or you also want to take part in. That's of course possible then, and then you can do it whenever you have time. So that's maybe better even. So again, thanks a lot, and I'm going to say goodbye then.
Thank you.
And hope to see you, especially for the students in this webinar. So hopefully we will meet again sometime next year in September in Eindhoven. Okay, for now, all the best.
Thank you for your attention.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.